All right, Gavin, thanks for having us here, man. Well, do you have a name for this place, by the way?
All Day Coconut.
All Day Coconut?
Yeah.
I love it. What's the history with that?
My wife made it up.
Okay, works
All Day
for me.
Coconut 69, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
we're
the
gonna
official title.
Okay, you
key that
understand.
over the bottom.
We're gonna put that.
Awesome.
It's gonna go right on top of the
Perfect.
thumbnail.
Yeah. Put it there.
It's there forever. You can't
Awesome.
change it.
No, that's it.
Can you say it again?
All Day Coconut 69.
All Day Coconut 69. I love it. So you're in a band called The Wooden Sky.
I am.
By the way, I got to tell you, your latest record it sounds good, but the artwork, I love the artwork.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love it. I follow that artist actually.
Yeah,
I've
she's
seen her
great.
stuff. And then when you guys, who put the whole package together?
My friend Justin Broadbent.
Okay.
He does a lot of
beautiful.
different kinds of work. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Just the typography and small on it too.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, he's in the backwards stuff, and it's really detailed too. Like he printed that out, traced it, scanned it back in.
Oh,
There's a lot of textures.
And there was like a
awesome.
limited edition like color vinyl too.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's
that was
fun.
sort of like that was just our record label that was like, we're gonna do this. I was like, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, and it looks great.
Well, there's something about like in the Spotify era that it's like it's convenient, the streaming, but like it calls for like a bigger need to like celebrate the physical release.
Yeah,
I think
totally,
you know.
totally.
It's great. Okay, so here we are in the west end of Toronto, and we've been shooting all day, and I'm really stoked to come here because I heard it was a vibey place.
It's vibey.
And we're not disappointed here. So you recorded your band's last record here?
Yeah, the whole thing.
And do you do other people's records here?
Yeah, lots of records actually.
Okay. So you track in here?
Track in here, mix in here, rehearse in here, master sometimes, not so much, but
Yeah. Wow.
bit.
That's great. How do drums sound in here?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Although recently we recorded almost all the drums kind of where Jay's standing, but recently I moved them back to this side and it sounds totally different. And I was like, wow, that sounds awesome. I guess it's just the lower ceiling.
Lower, yeah.
Yeah, and it just like totally changed the sound. So it's kind of a flexible space in that sense. And it's
Yeah.
always changing, I'm always getting new shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I love the way drums sound in here.
So-
I usually just use like 4 or 5 mics, so it's pretty simple
Right.
in terms of drum setup. But the drums sound good, and if it's a good drummer, it's pretty easy.
You said, we're going to hop all over because
Yeah.
it's kind of the vibe of the studio.
Yeah.
But like you said that you recorded your band's latest record on this.
Yes.
8 tracks, and then you
8-track
dumped.
quarter-inch.
So how often do you do that?
Always.
Really?
Yeah. I don't record straight digital anymore at all. in
No
here.
way.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just like the way it sounds.
So-
And the workflow's not crazy. It's not so difficult. It's like an extra maybe like 30 minutes of transfer time.
Okay.
So what I usually do, you want to just jump right into the process?
I'm here.
So what I usually do is we'll just I can get about 37 to 40 minutes on
Okay.
each tape.
Okay.
And they're 7.5-inch reels, quarter-inch tape. It's
Okay.
kind of like an overblown 4-track.
Yeah.
And so, we can do like however long the song is,
Yeah.
and depending on the speed we do it at, but it's about 40 minutes. So we usually get like 6 or 7 takes
Okay.
of a song, and if you can't get it with the artist in that time, it's like not happening. So we'll either go back over takes or keep going, and then we'll spend like 40 minutes listening and just dumping it back into Pro Tools or Logic or whatever the session is.
Wow.
And then we just cut the takes together from there. So there's no grids or anything, but
And so you said you did 5 mics on the drum kit?
Yep.
And then what are you doing? A one bass? Or?
I usually DI the bass here
Okay.
and then reamp it after.
And then what are you using the other tracks for?
Usually guitar. I mean, it depends on the artist.
So then
But for Wooden Sky, it was like 2 guitar amps. So one guitar amp was in the room with the drums, and the other one was in the booth.
would there be a vocalist who would be singing along just for fun?
Yeah.
Okay, just to keep everyone together?
Yeah.
And you're not recording that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so you're doing 2 electric guitars and 1 bass?
Generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it depends on the instrumentation of the band.
Does that make the record like happen faster?
You would hope, but no. I mean, it made some decisions easier because it was like deciding right now.
Right.
I also love the way guitars sound when they bleed into the drum mics.
Right.
A lot of people, I've made lots of records like this where you spend so much time isolating every single thing.
Yeah.
And then you spend so much time afterwards trying to make it sound like it's not isolated.
Oh,
And to
man.
me, it's just like so backwards,
That's a great
And then you end up
point.
using all these like room plugins or reverb boxes, and
Yeah.
it's like they're the same as everybody else has access to.
Yeah.
Whereas you have this unique space, you have this unique opportunity.
Man, that's a great point. I actually want to kind of pull that out of this video because I've done the same thing where like you think when you're recording, shut everything off, have it be as quiet as possible, get your acoustic
Well, that's
guitar.
what you're taught
Yeah.
to do. And I mean, I understand that process. And you have to be pretty competent in your miking and your playing and your volumes. It's not just like throw up whatever everywhere and let it all bleed.
Yeah.
It's like it's got to be smart.
Yeah.
Like we'll baffle off the guitar amp, and usually that's actually to keep the drums out of the guitar. More than the other way around.
Right.
And like I've done it where I had the bass amp in the room too, and that gets messy. I don't like doing that.
Oh, okay.
You know.
So you reamp the bass sometimes?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Actually, yes, always.
Well, you know what's interesting is like we hear this, and I think a lot of people who are afraid of it or don't like that idea are people like myself who aren't that great of musicians, because that requires to be a good musician, right?
Yeah,
to know your part.
But I think people do the other way because they can.
Right.
You know, and if you can't, then all of a sudden you got to do it. You know?
Right.
And most people can. You could do it. I'm sure you could do it. You know?
Well, I love the idea of. I mean, we were talking about these Tascam units. I have a 4-track one, and I was working on a buddy's record and very lo-fi, and we ended up taking all of the mixes, even the stuff that wasn't recorded direct to that, and sending it to that and then back into Pro Tools. And because of that, anytime I heard a mistake or something I didn't like, I just lived with it because I didn't want to have to go through the process, use up more tape, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought there was something nice about that.
Yeah.
Forcing you to...
Yeah, and you start to worry about other problems, you know, or like you focus on what's really important.
Right.
Often I find when you have too many options, everything becomes a problem. It just slows everything down. And then the musicianship degrades as a result.
Right.
You know, people get bored. It's like if it's not exciting to be playing together, it doesn't come across as exciting. You know, it's like it doesn't matter if you record on a tape machine or like a tiny little M box.
Yeah.
If it's not exciting at the source, then it's not going to sound exciting.
Yeah.
You know? And so if I can get out of the way as best I can, you know, within reason, of course, you know, like I want things to sound awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and part of my job is knowing, at least in this room right away, how to make it sound awesome.
Right.
So when people walk in, I'll have the drums where I want them, loosely mic'd up, so it's pretty close. So I get them playing. We get headphones going right away, and then it's like, okay, let's just do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I used to feel like if it wasn't hard, then I wasn't working hard enough, or I was being lazy.
Right.
But I'm at the point now where I've done it enough that I've gone through those steps where it's been like, you know, what if I tried a 57 at this angle on the guitar amp? It's like you know what you're going for already. You don't have to go through every single option.
Yeah, no, that's true. Let's talk about the drums for a sec, because we're doing things well out of order here, but that's the vibe of the Coconut 69, I think. But so you're doing 5 mics on the drum kit, you said, approximately. What mics are you using and where?
Okay, well, that was just for the 8-track setup.
But but I want to hear it,
Yeah, so I'm sort of doing like the Glenn Johns mic technique. With an extra mic. And so I'm using Sennheiser 441s, overheads, dynamic mics. Yeah. Sort of like here, essentially, if the snare drum's here. So equidistant, I use a measuring tape.
Okay.
And if I want it to be tighter, I bring it to like 32 inches. If I want it to be looser, like maybe 34, 35. And then just like a 57 on the snare and a Beta 52 on the kick.
Okay.
And then I have a Royer kind of a 121 like tucked in under the snare, sort of pointed across the kick shell.
Really?
And I compress that pretty heavily.
Okay. What does that sound like?
Well, if I get the phase exactly right, which I kind of work until I get it like that, it almost sounds like a crazy sub. You could almost get your whole drum sound from it.
Really?
But when you combine it with the 52, it kind of just blows it out. It's really cool.
So there'd be, I guess you don't have a room mic there, but
not in that setup, no.
Right.
And then sometimes if I want that sound, which often you do, I'll just blast it out through the speakers and re-mic it.
Oh man, that's
cool.
So
that is the trouble with having the guitar amps in the room. If you do it that way, the room mics aren't as useful because the guitars and stuff don't sound as cool on like at least in my experience so far in here.
Right.
But on like the overheads, they're pretty subtle. Like there's not a ton of bleed because the drums are so much louder usually.
Right. Yeah.
That it just kind of smears the guitar in a cool way.
Right.
Like, you know, if I pan the guitar here, it's definitely here in the stereo field, but there's like a nice spread. Yeah. It just feels real. Yeah. It feels like you can almost like picture where the guitar is.
Well, it's funny you're saying that, and I'm going back to what you say at the very beginning, because that's how I artificially will, and a lot of people artificially will mix a guitar. You hard pan it, then you send some sort of like short delay to the other side, and you're just basically trying to create that.
Yeah, and I'll still do that, some of that like spatial stuff with delay on top of that for like extra effects and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, like the whole thing for me is just being able to picture the band playing while I'm listening to it. That's what I like. Yeah. Anyway, you know, and that's the kind of records that I'm making in here most of the time. So for me, it's like, well, fuck, why don't we just have a band play and make them sound good.
Yeah.
You know, like I had a band in here, and it was one of the first records I did on this, and we had the amps isolated. The first night they were here, we had the amps in the room, they were just practicing, we were getting sounds.
Yeah.
And then we isolated the amps, and they were playing, and we were just like, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
So we opened this door up, had the bass amp sitting kind of pointing out into the room. It was just a 3-piece.
Yeah.
Great band. And the guitar amp in the corner baffled off, and then they just went for it, and it was awesome. And we tracked the whole record in like 2 days and mixed and mastered it at the same time in like 6 hours. It was crazy. Man. But it's a great record. I love it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, one of the things I'm excited. I was listening to your record last night, just thinking about coming here, and I can't wait to go home and listen again, just thinking about now that I've seen how it's made. I like that kind of thought. So you're going into here. I want to ask you about what gear you go through. Do you go through like outboard stuff before going into here when you're talking about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of stuff would you do?
Well, let's just walk through the 8 tracks.
Oh yeah, there's EQ on here.
There is EQ, and the EQ is actually awesome.
And does it apply to it going in?
Yeah. The trouble is you have to be careful because it also applies to it going out. So you have to turn it off. Yeah. I mean, there's a way to get around it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound as good if it doesn't go through the buses on the way out. You can go right off the tape on the way out too.
Okay.
So, but what I'll do is I'll just have to remind myself to flatten it. Yeah. Which is sometimes easy to forget if you're playing and recording.
Well, you have to take a picture too of like what you have.
Yeah, I generally like it's pretty. I mean, they're all sweepable. So you leave those bands, and then like the moves are small usually anyway.
Yeah.
But I'll just go kick, snare, and the overheads straight in. Use the preamps on this, and then do a little bit of EQ, usually to the overheads.
You use the preamps on?
Yeah, they're awesome.
Wow.
So I'll use the first 4 for that, and then usually, I mean, this is just for the Wooden Sky record I'm talking about at this point because it was a unique thing. Then the Royer I ran through the API.
Okay.
And then we hit the distressor pretty heavily actually for that.
Okay.
Which was cool. And then the bass, I don't think I had that red DI at that point.
All right.
So we just went straight into this Shadow Hill mono gamma preamp.
Okay, nice.
Which is cool, and it has 3 different circuits: nickel, discrete, and steel. And they have actually really distinct different sounds.
Really?
Actually, I bought that off Leon, who's one of the owners at Union.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so, like, depending on the song, we would change basses. I went straight in, like, not a DI, just like plugged into the preamp.
Yeah.
Which actually seemed to make a difference. I don't know.
Wow.
It's subtle, you know. It's all subtleties.
Would you do any effects on the way in with a band like that? No.
I mean, because I don't have any tracks to print it on, really.
Right.
You know.
Right.
When I'm using the 24-track machine, yeah.
Right.
You know, but I'm also in the room with the band when we're tracking, so I don't do a ton of compressing on the way in.
Right.
Because I can only hear so much. Like I usually wear in-ears and then extra headphones on top of them.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge problem, eh? Yeah.
But with those, it's actually kind of awesome because the in-ears block out so much sound, and I'm so used to my in-ears too.
Right.
And they sound good. And then I just put like construction grade like sound blocking things.
That's smart.
Yeah. The only thing that's really annoying with it is talking afterwards because I can't hear anything. So I can only hear with the live mics, you know. So I have to like take them off, take my in-ears off.
What do you play in the band?
Guitar.
Okay, and so is that challenging being a part of the band and engineering at the same time? Or?
Surprisingly, no.
Do you have someone to help you when you're?
No, we help each other.
Oh, that's great.
You know.
Yeah.
But we also made the demos that way.
Okay.
And then as we were making the demos, we were like, shit, this sounds good. Let's just do it.
Right.
You know, and so we spent a bunch of time setting up and getting sounds. And then we just went for it.
Was it the first record that you did by yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Is that the kind of thing where like you can never go back?
I don't know. I like working with other people too. And like I didn't mix our record either.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so that was that had a huge impact on the way the record sounds. Obviously the mixing.
Yeah.
And we went to Montreal for a couple of days and worked at a studio called Hotel de Tango. Okay. Which we actually made 2 records at before, and it's an awesome studio.
Oh, okay.
It was just nice to like get out of Toronto for a little bit.
Yeah.
And also get out of my backyard for a little bit, you know.
And what'd you do there? Like
we did
stuff?
piano, and they have one of those Salinas string ensembles.
Oh, okay.
There, so we used that a ton.
Oh, nice.
They have a nice Yamaha grand piano. I think it's Yamaha. Nice
Okay.
grand piano, and also a friend of mine who plays sax and clarinet lives there, and he's amazing. So that was part of the reason to go.
Yeah.
And that's where I started using the R44 I was at a hotel and I was like, I want to use this. Sounds so good.
Yeah, I've heard about those things.
Yeah,
They're
it does sound
pretty
awesome.
expensive though, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty expensive, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then the guitar is just API straight in.
Okay.
And I have like a Bayer dynamic ribbon mic that I used on one of them. And the other one I have like the vintage, I guess it's vintage, Sennheiser 509.
Oh, okay.
So I'd either use that or another Royer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What I'm really like confused with is, so you've done the beds, you send them to the computer.
Yeah. But we're actually running, so basically I'm going off the bus before the tape into the computer while we're tracking.
As a backup?
Sometimes I record it as a backup.
Okay.
And it is usually a good idea in case something gets fucked up.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I can record the vocals and I can record however many tracks I want to.
Oh,
But that's
okay.
where I do the headphones. Headphones are coming from the computer.
Oh, okay.
Which is great because then we have all individual headphone
That's
mixes
cool.
and it's easy. And then I can add effects there just for like listening and playback.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and everybody usually wears like those noise canceling, like Vic Firth. They don't sound amazing.
Yeah, okay.
But they block all the room sound out, so then the headphones are fairly...
They can just hear themselves.
Yeah, it works pretty good.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So how then, so this is going back in, but it's not going into a click, so it's not going into the grid?
No, I never use the grid.
Never.
No. I don't really know
so
how.
dangerous.
I mean, I could do it, but I mean, you could try, but the problem with this machine in particular is there's drift.
Right.
You know, because it's not like this is like a prosumer machine. It's definitely not a pro machine.
Right.
So the capstan's not perfect.
Right.
Which is also part of the sound.
Totally.
You know, and I don't think you could sync this with SMPTE like you could with other things.
So then, Overdubs, you're still going through this?
Overdubs.
Put your keys and
No,
tambourine?
Overdubs, we're pretty much going straight to the computer.
Okay.
I did some experimenting with that.
Okay.
And it does change the sound for sure.
Yeah.
But the amount of hassle it was to do. And this also is only a 2-head machine, which means there's no repro head. Same way as your like 4-track.
Right.
So if you want to, like, you can't just like go straight through. You literally have to do it, then record it back in,
Right.
then try to timeline it. And I did that for a couple things, and it worked. But it was like, this is way too much work.
For a tambourine.
Yeah. But however, one cool thing that I discovered in doing that was this sort of like pitch bending, almost like flanging.
Okay.
So what I would do is like, it worked best with like sustained instruments, like the farfisa, for example.
Yeah.
So I would take like a chord that's already like, everything's been transferred in, and then I would transfer the farfisa again, and just like try my best to hit play here and record here at the same time.
Right.
And then I just play with the pitch, like the very speed, and it was so fun because it would be in time with the stuff. It'd be a pitch and it would go, ooh. And then out of time, then it gives you this feeling like, what the fuck is happening?
That's this right here?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about recording to tape is very speedy.
And the Tascams have that too,
They
like
have
the
that.
little guys.
Yeah, totally.
Never thought of that.
A few of the songs on the record we just very speeded right out of the gate, so we decided like we like the tone better.
Right.
And it was slowed down a bit. The drums just get deeper and richer, and it's awesome.
Oh, man.
So then we played to a click and just played it like, 4 BPMs faster than we wanted it.
Yeah.
And you recorded at that, and then you just slow the whole thing down. So we dropped it, I think, to like, it was in C, and we dropped it to like B.
Because you're doing it before the vocals.
Yeah. So all the instruments dropped as well. So if you want to do any overdubbing, you have to account for that.
Yeah.
So actually, we ended up somewhere between like a B and C. We were like, this is going to be such a hassle.
Yeah.
Let's just like find B and
Yeah.
just so we can overdub piano. And
Yeah,
stuff.
totally. Yeah.
But yeah,
That
the
is
very
so
speed.
cool.
Honestly, it's probably the most used feature on that thing.
No way.
Because you just don't. You can't really do it in computers. I mean, you can. In Logic, you can fairly well.
There's something about manual. Like
and
just
you do it until it
controlling
sounds great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We were talking about that today with about Moog synths, and stuff where it's just you're doing it and you're just like tweaking the sounds
it's
right
tactile.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually funny, the record I was working on, this lo-fi record that we did to tape, we actually did half the songs right live to tape, and the guy's a great singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
And when I was sending it back to Pro Tools, when you hit play and it goes into the, I was like, I love that sound. So I had to cue it up just right to be able to get that sound, just because there's so much life in that.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's so cool.
I think about that. You know that Nebraska record, Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of folklore around the recording of that.
Right.
But one of the things that I was reading about that I thought was so cool when you listen to it, you can hear it, is that they didn't really kind of know exactly what they were doing with the 4-track. And I guess when they were recording it, they had the very speed slowed down kind of by accident. And then they thought, okay, when we're about to get down, we should have that at 0. So they put it at 0. So the whole record is slightly very speeded up from what it was actually played at.
Oh.
So it's a little bit higher in pitch and key.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you can hear it when you listen to it. It's like the voice has something sort of like supernatural about it.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, you know, and it lends itself to that haunting.
That's interesting.
Feeling. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting excited.
No, it'd be kind of a great way to get a little bit more range out of your vocals.
Yeah. I mean, and like the Beatles, if you read anything about their recording process, they used vari speed so much. Yeah. You know, like they would play songs a lot slower on purpose and then speed them up because they wanted them to sound a little peppier.
Right.
You know, and then the drums tighten right up.
Oh, man.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'll be listening.
Play with it more.
Even on this record that I was doing in Norway, we were using those Studio A80 machines, which I was like, they're amazing, just like tanks. But we did one song where like we wanted to sound like really insane. And so we had them play it quite a bit faster, and we very speeded it down a lot to the point where it's like, but the textures and stuff are just gorgeous. Oh, and the studio was right on, this is kind of ridiculous, but the studio is right on the ocean.
Yeah.
And so I stuck a pair of, I guess they were 84s, out the window in like a stereo pair and recorded the seagulls at the same time.
Oh, man.
And they just sound insane when they're pitched down.
Oh,
like this bird flew by.
Yeah.
And that's how we knew it was the take. We heard this bird fly by and we're like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And you listen to it afterwards and it just sounds crazy because it's very speeded down so much.
I love that kind of stuff. I've never even thought of that. Like, this was the thing. I remember when we went to see Dan Edmonds, it was just the same type of studio. And there's so much like creative inspiration out of those that, you know, no disrespect to the more commercial studios, but it's like you need, when you're making records, creativity is more important than gear.
Yeah.
And that's to find a way to use gear in a creative way.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because
that's the win.
That sort of style of recording was being done at like the most cutting edge studios in the world at the time.
At the time,
Abbey Road is top notch. You know?
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, to be able to use, just to be able to use tools to create sounds that you couldn't create in the real world. It's so fun. Yeah. I mean, that's like synthesizers in general. That's what they are.
Yeah.
You know, so to use tape like that is really great.
That's totally true. I wanted to ask you about tape.
Yeah.
You're 1/4 inch in here, so is that easy to find?
Yeah.
You need new tape a lot?
Yeah.
So how many?
I'll use like, if I have a band in for like a full record, we'll usually buy like 3 or 4 reels.
Okay.
And then we'll just keep.
What do they cost?
They're like $60.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Like no, it's fine.
Yeah.
The 1/4 inch reels are cheap. Like the 2-inch reels are like $500.
Right.
So then I just buy a couple and then I'll just sort of like rent them to bands essentially.
Okay.
So just pay like $50 for your session and we'll have 2 tapes that we alternate.
Okay.
And I can get like 6 or 7 sessions out of them.
Can you erase them?
Pay for themselves.
Or
yeah.
And it's good as new?
Not good as new, but it's good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like it's not virgin tape at that point, but
any mastering to tape, like just or
no. Anytime I've tried to experiment with that, it's been pretty unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Mixing though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just mixed a record in here, kind of similar to what you're talking about. Is actually onto the 4-track.
Okay.
For a bunch of stuff.
And so it was recorded into Pro Tools, and then you brought it out.
She recorded it all over the place, always to tape at some point.
Oh, okay.
So she did a bunch of it at the Blue Rodeo studio.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then I think some of it over at Candle.
Okay.
Which is Josh's
place, yeah.
And then we recorded some of it here on this Ampex machine. A few of the songs we redid here. And then we mixed it all here in Logic, actually. And then some of the songs we mixed to 4-track. And some of the songs, I think we just went straight digital.
Really?
Yeah.
So you collapsed everything into 4 tracks? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, usually what I did actually was put the band on 2 tracks, like a stereo track. And then I had the lead vocals on one, and if there was backup vocals on the 4th.
Oh, cool.
Just so we could, because again, you know, there's no repro head on there. So it's like you're shooting a little bit blind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because whatever the 4-track is doing to it, you can't hear it until after.
Right.
Which was one of the reasons why I went out and bought this 122 tape recorder. Although I haven't used it
You know what's so funny?
then.
I'm so jealous of this.
Yeah.
I found for free a rack mount tape recorder. For a time I was thinking about recording a lot of our records to cassette.
Yeah.
And I love the cassette thing that's happening now.
Me too.
I grew up on them.
Yeah.
Like all the
it's so fun.
Genesis cassettes I had. and this is like, to me, is like the creme of the cassette decks.
Yeah, I had it
beautiful
for a while. I think I went to
Is it in great? Is it good shape?
Yeah, great shape. I actually use it as a delay.
Oh, okay. How do you do that?
Well, it's got 3 heads on it. So you just go off the repro head, and then you can adjust the speed. It's got vari speed as well.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's your delay time. And then feedback is the same. Like if you feed the signal back to it, you can get more repeats.
You have to find it from someone who doesn't value it. That's what I think. Like, you can get them between like 500 to 250 or something.
Yeah, it was about $300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not 500, like 50 to 250.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some people are just like thrift shops will have them.
They'll pop up, yeah. This guy was like a hi-fi nerd.
Yeah, so people know what they're worth, especially because they're rack mount.
Yeah, and it sounds great and it's fun.
I wonder what they were for. Do you think like TV studios or radio stations or something?
I mean, when I worked at Ryerson, we had one in every studio when I first went to school there.
Yeah, sorry, what were you saying that you used it for?
Delay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I bought it because of that mixing process, because I was like, oh, wow, mixing to cassette gives it a certain sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to hear it, what it's doing to it. And so this is, you can monitor off the repro head. So then you can actually hear what the tape is doing.
Oh, okay, yeah,
there's
that's a good
slight
point.
delay, but you can actually hear what it's doing to it.
Right.
I mean, I was reading about, I love reading, recording interviews, and I think it was, I don't know which Dylan record it was, I think it was one of the Lenoir records, where they were giving him playbacks, like daily, whatever, day of mixes on cassette.
Oh.
And then when they went to mastering, they were mastering off the whatever half inch, and he was just like, it doesn't sound the same, you know?
Oh, wow.
Because he loved what the cassette had done to it, because I guess there's less headroom, or they printed it hotter, I don't know.
That's awesome.
So it just gives it a certain, je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love those
fun.
machines.
You know, it's just like things that make your job easier. That's what I'm looking for. Whether, I mean, I don't make super polished sounding records.
Right.
And so, like, I'm trying to find ways to add character without it being like an Instagram filter.
Well, yes, but arguably, I mean, it adds character, but it doesn't necessarily make your job easier. Not as easy as a Echo Boy plugin.
Yeah, yes and no. I would just say, like, I have to work so hard with an Echo Boy plugin to make it sound awesome.
Right.
You know, whereas when I plug the Echoplex in, it's like, shit, that sounds awesome. You know? But the Echo Boy plugin actually is great, so I shouldn't say that. But, you know, with a lot of those plugin delays, I just find it's way easier for me to mix them when I'll just print these back in.
Right.
You know, and like you can see, I have my pedal board here set up too.
This is a beautiful piece.
Yeah, I made the mistake of touring with that.
Oh, and so fragile.
Yeah, I just got it back from the shop yesterday, so I probably won't do that again. So,
you have it going right back into the API. So what are you using it for right now? It looks like you're using it for mixing.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I have it set up on a vocal send.
Oh wow.
Well, it's on an aux send, but I'm just running vocals into it.
Is it noisy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it totally is. You just have to hit it hard enough, but it sounds like a tape echo, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it sounds like a tape echo.
Yeah.
Because it is a tape echo. But yeah, I use that. I use it for vocals. I mean, speaking of Nebraska, again, I'm pretty sure that's what they used for his vocals.
Oh, man. Well, probably.
I was making some cover songs for my niece who's turning a year in November. I made it for her last Christmas, just like Aerosmith lullabies.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did it on the 4-track, and I had this plugged in as a send off the 4-track, and I was singing, and I was like, my God, it sounds exactly like Nebraska. It's so fun to sit there and sing and hear it.
As a send. Hey, I have a question for you. Does the quality of cassettes make a difference on those things?
Huge difference.
I thought so, because for the most amount of time that I was goofing around, it was the 5-packs for $4.99 from wherever, the dollar store, that I was using. Yeah. And then when I went to make this record I've been telling you about, I got those all gray ones, the Maxell Type 2s, and I couldn't believe it. Now, I was using a good tube mic into a 1073, then into that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it did, like, the gain was great, it sounded great, but I couldn't believe the difference in tape.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh, yeah,
true?
it's a big difference. I know. I actually discovered that when I was recording that song I was talking about, we were at that studio in Montreal, and I brought that with me. And I was like, because we had this one song we knew we wanted to do on the 4-track, because we did a demo of it, and we're like, it just sounds awesome. Just love the way it sounds. And so we filled up, I brought 2 tapes. One was the Type 2, and one was the other type. And we filled up the Type 2 with takes, and we're like, let's just do a couple more for safety. Pop the other one in. And listening back afterwards, we all loved the shittier tape.
Oh, wow.
More.
Really?
Yeah, because it just had more of the quality that we liked.
Wow. Was there more noise?
No, there wasn't more noise.
Oh,
it just seemed, I don't even know exactly how to articulate.
Wow.
It wasn't as clear and defined.
Yeah.
You know. And then running back off of this, what I usually do is there's 4 outputs. So I just run, I think this one has 4 outputs. I'll usually run out all 4 tape outputs. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So I go out of the tape outputs through the APIs back in, and then I mix it in the computer.
Oh, okay. Wow. So they're going through some nice pre's coming back in.
Coming back, but I use the Tascam pre's on the way in.
And just that?
Just that, yeah.
Wow.
So we use the 441s and a couple other like little weird, like, what was this AKG mic? The D19.
Oh, wow.
With these guys.
Is this a condenser?
Nope.
Wow.
It's a dynamic.
Looks like
I was sitting around
late night TV show.
Yeah, I got it for $20.
Wow.
I was at my friend Jonas Bonetta's place, and he was telling me about another friend of ours that made his whole record with a couple of these. Whether that's true or not,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a great sounding record.
Oh, man.
It's Andy Schaaf. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah.
But apparently, the legend was that he used these for the record, and I was like,
Which record is that?
I am not sure. I don't know which one.
Man. Yeah, it sounds great.
But I was like, well, shit, and there's $20. So I've used
How'd you find it for $20?
Just on eBay.
Wow.
I also see them go for like 100.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I used that, I think, on vocals. Yeah, and then we hit that. It's so funny to be in like a super amazing studio and use like something like would have got in high school, you know. But it just sounded cool. Yeah. And then we'd go back in and we were using, they have the same 501 that I have, but they also have like a nice EMT 140 plate there.
Oh, wow.
It's actually apparently the unit that they use to record the Box Top song, The Letter. Do you know that song?
No, I don't.
You'd know it if you heard it. Like, my baby, she wrote me a letter.
Oh, okay.
Which is Alex Chilton from Big Star's first band.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah.
But it sounded amazing. So yeah, we did that, and then we mixed it on a big Neve afterwards. So definitely things changed.
Right. Yeah.
But that was the original
That's
source.
really cool. My greatest memory of like working off of that was when I was done, taking the tape out, writing what songs you recorded on the paper, and then just filing it away.
That's
that just reminded me of like grade school.
Oh yeah, and like I kind of approximate the time,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
But there's no time code on it, you know. So it's like,
Yeah.
That's the same thing with this. It's like there's no time code. So if you hit reset by accident, you know, you're like kind of lost.
Oh yeah.
You know, the time code just starts from the beginning of the tape.
Right.
Just a counter.
Right. Yeah.
So you kind of are approximating.
My rewind is slow. I need to take it down to the dupe shop and get it looked at. But my rewind is like everything works great, but when you hit rewind, it's just like drags.
Oh, crazy.
So I have to like manually spin it while it's going. Like I kind of help it spin.
Okay, maybe one of the motors is
Yeah, I don't know.
When I had another one and it broke, and someone was like, you know, I'm not going to fix that for you. Better off just to find another one because it'll pay me more than it would cost.
Oh, really?
But that was before they started
Before
going
they're
for,
crazy, yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's way too much money. It's
Well,
not worth it.
I mean, the thing is, who knows where they all are, though? Like, they must have all been thrown in the garbage in the 90s.
Somewhere.
Well, I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe not. That's
who would have thought, you know, like even in the early 2000s, who would have thought? Like,
that's true. I mean, I think I just gave mine away or traded it when I had in high school.
I was like wondering where all my Walkmans had gone off to. You know, it's crazy. So you have a couple of the 312s here. I love that unit.
It's great.
Really
that was the
cool
first thing
unit.
that I had for the studio. When I first started having a studio, I had that and an RME Fireface, and that was it.
It's a great bargain.
Yeah,
too, really.
Yeah, I mean, they're not crazy expensive.
Amazing.
They're very versatile. They sound great.
What's this guy here?
That is a Compex compressor. I bought that off Ian, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was mixing our record,
actually, it looks similar to something he has now.
Yeah, they have the Orange County. Yeah. Orange County got sued by these guys for ripping that off.
He was saying that.
Yeah, so I guess Orange County, they're out of Winnipeg, or they were, and they were the distributor for this company. It's a British company in North America.
Oh.
And I guess they just copied the design.
Oh, man.
So if you can find Orange County, they're way cheaper, and I think it's exactly the same thing.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I was mixing our record. Well, I was at the mix session.
Yeah.
This guy, John Agnello, mixed it. He's amazing.
Okay.
And he used it on he had two of them, and he used it on the 2 bus, like on the mix bus. Which, I mean, they're kind of like, they're sort of known as like smash boxes.
Right.
Like for drums, they sound amazing on drums. But he was using it as across the 2 mix, and it just sounded awesome. And so when I saw Ian had one and he's posted it for sale, I just jumped all over it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I've been using it off and on as like a bus compressor.
Okay.
But it also just sounds great on drums. It just makes it incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah,
And
I kind of recognize the look of it.
Like, you probably won't be. This won't be any good for your video, but
yeah, we probably can't do any audio because it will get.
See if I can find this.
Oh man.
Take it out. Like this is.
Wow.
It's just such an impact to it.
That's great.
Anyway, it's still in the process.
I was just talking like I do everything, for me, I do everything digital.
Yeah.
And I want to go out once and hit some sort of bus compressor and then come back. And I feel like that would be really beneficial.
I mean, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
I mean, my setup's, I'll explain my setup to you after, but you could just do it as a hardware insert.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Because there's not going to be any delay at all if it's the last thing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Also, all the, I mean, Pro Tools, Logic, they all have like compensation for that.
Right,
you know?
right.
So, but this is not, that's not how this is set up, but some of this stuff is.
So what is your setup? I see you have an Apollo 16 there?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. I don't love it. I don't know. I love their plugins.
Yeah.
I thought I'm so bad. I don't do my research all the time before I buy things. I like think it's going to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And I buy it. But it's not really expandable unless you run Thunderbolt. Then you can Thunderbolt two of them together.
Oh.
But the RME, you could light pipe things in, no problem. It's awesome.
Okay.
You could expand it that way. But I needed more ins and outs. So this has 16 I/O.
Yeah.
And so I'm running that as sort of the brains of the situation.
Yeah.
And then I'm using this Warbeck console as a summing console.
Oh, I've seen one of these at Boxcar in Hamilton.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have one.
Yeah.
That's Ben's place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have one of these. Actually, Howie Beck has one too. His is bigger. And then, you know, Baldwin Sound? Aaron Goldstein.
Yeah, we were there a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a big Warbeck.
Yes.
But it's the same company. It's a Canadian company.
Yeah.
And so I had this modded to have direct outs, so I can use this for tracking too.
Oh, okay.
Which is cool. But I always use it for mixing, which is awesome.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's sort of summing, but I don't leave things at zero. You know, like I have them coming out in sort of in stereo pairs, kick, snare on their own buses. The rest of the drums are here, bass, vocals. Then I have a stereo pair for guitars, stereo pair for keys, and then often I'll have like an effects stereo pair. Although this bus has been a little noisy, so I've been avoiding using it.
So it comes out from the Apollo into here?
Sort of. Some of the tracks go through outboard gear first.
Yeah.
So I have the kick and snare on this record, and most records usually just through the DBX 160s down here.
Okay, cool. So you don't use those in tracking into the tape?
No.
Okay.
I use them if I was going digital.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, the tape also does some compressing.
Sure.
And like I was saying, I can't hear, if I'm using that machine,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not hearing off the repro head, so I can't hear exactly what the tape's doing to it. So I avoid the compression till after.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
once it's compressed, it's compressed.
Right.
If you record it that
Yeah,
way.
totally.
You know, which is great if you love it the way it sounds right out the gate. Like the Royer thing.
Yeah.
I squashed that on the way into the distressor, and it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, the kick snare going out through that, then the kick's going straight in. The snare is going out to API 560 here.
Oh, wow. Jealous.
Which you can see is pretty cut up right now.
Yeah, it is.
But,
Pretty aggressive.
It's a pretty noisy snare, and I love it. It's like kind of angry and like clanky,
Fizzy.
which is awesome. And that's
Yeah.
the way that's what we chose that snare specifically because we're like we want that real character snare. And I just was like sort of helping that sound
Yeah,
a little bit.
that's cool.
Helping articulate it
What
a
are
little
you
more.
using the API compressor for?
Nothing.
Okay, sounds great.
I use it for tracking tambourine. It's I don't use it that much.
Oh,
I need to use it more
Yeah.
or sell it because they're worth a lot actually.
yeah,
Like $1,200 or $1,300.
yeah.
It's a pretty expensive tambourine compressor, but it sounds awesome on tambourine. It makes it when I record tambourine through that, it sounds like it was recorded to tape to me. to my
Wow.
ears. And I love tambourine; it's like my favorite instrument.
Yeah, it is
So
great. It's important.
when I'm recording tambourine, I always use my that Sony mic I was telling you about, the C37.
Oh, okay.
And then into the API through that compressor, squashed usually, but it just sounds great.
Well,
But nothing's going through that right now.
people love tambourine.
Why not? It's awesome.
I know.
I have quite a great collection of tambourines somewhere.
It's surprising how they make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And each one is so unique.
I'm a big tambourine fan.
Yeah,
What is
although-
this guy here? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say I have some friends who are like, you don't have to make every record a Beatles record. You have to do so many overdubs, which is true.
People don't know. People don't hear tambourines. They
You feel them. Yeah, exactly.
So
like if you listen to...
you could tell your friends there's no tambourine on, and they'd believe you.
They believe you, yeah. Like if you listen to, this isn't tambourine shaker, but like Refugee, Tom Petty.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't really notice the shaker, but then when they talk about it in interviews, it's like, oh yeah, that's like the heartbeat of the whole song.
I was listening to, there's like a fairly recent Ray LaMontagne song on that record, God Willing, The Creek Don't Rise. You know that record?
Yeah.
I think it's the first track. And I had heard the album for years. And then one day I was just accidentally listening to the tambourine. And it sounds like a guy who's just like hitting it occasionally, not to the beat at all, just very psychotic. Like,
really?
Like stops, hits, shake, 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 drops it, but it works. It's so weird. Yeah, cool. But you don't realize it until like years later.
Well, I have some drummers that I work with that complain about the fact that like the shaker, which is this big, when you mix it, it becomes louder than the drums. Which I get, it's like sometimes it can feel unnatural in a strange way, but if you do it right,
that's a fair point.
But yeah, that box is a 2 BQ.
Oh, wow. Never seen that.
It's sort of, I've only seen one other one, and that was at that Studio Hotel to Tango.
Intersound?
Yeah, IVP.
Wow.
And then mostly I use it as like a way to, I don't really use it as a clean EQ ever. It's like really to distort things.
Is it a stereo EQ?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it sounds really great. I use it often on snare drums, especially ones that I didn't record.
Yeah.
And they're really flat and lifeless.
Okay.
So I'll run that and then I'll print it back in usually and then work them in parallel.
Oh,
just to add a bit to it.
Okay, cool.
But it sounds really great. I mean, like, you can do a similar thing with like the decapitator plugin.
Right.
And it's pretty, sometimes I wonder if some of those distortion modes are modeled after this.
Wow.
Because it sort of sounds, I don't know that.
Yeah.
When I hear it, I'm like, oh, it sounds like this.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit more flexible too, and you can actually EQ it at the same time. So you can sort of like distort certain bands. Yeah, it's cool.
That's cool.
I use it at least once on every record. Yeah.
That's great. 6176.
Yeah.
What do you use that for?
I just got that actually. Right now I'm using the 1176 side on the vocal.
Yeah, what's unique about this is that you can use the compressor.
Yeah, you can split it
on its own.
Yeah. So I haven't actually I haven't tracked any records since I bought this where I've used it. I haven't used like the preamp at all yet.
Is it
it's a 610
identical 1176?
They say it is.
Wow, it's a good
it
good
says
value.
Right there, 1176N, that's 610B.
Huh. Because I know.
Yeah, I mean they're still expensive. It was like $2,000.
Oh yeah, they're very expensive.
Cheap, but
yeah, no.
But it sounds good. And so right now.
And these are great pre's. The 610 pre's, I like them. And
and the EQ's
little
cool
boost,
too.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, and the first couple times I used one, I wasn't that blown away. But I was making a record at Lincoln County Social Club. Have you guys been there before?
It sounds familiar.
John Dinsmore's place. Anyway, he's got a couple of them, and he was like, "Oh, you got to use this with the ribbons on the piano," and he did it. And I was like, so I found one, and I might get another one at some point.
Well, I have the LA 610, which is like the optical version.
Optical. Yeah, do you like it?
I love it. It's great. Yeah,
it's like all black.
It's black. Yeah. I've been using it as like my primary for vocals forever.
Yeah.
And then one day, like on a whim, I used the 1073 that I have, like a BAE.
Oh yeah, those are
cool. And they're great. And I was like, oh, this sounds cleaner and like nicer. And so I didn't realize how much of like kind of like a woodsy sound that was providing, which is cool. So now I have to kind of shoot them out so that I reset my ears. Because you kind of like box in a sound in your rack.
Yeah, totally.
So,
well, I was the same way with the APIs. I just, that was just my go-to for everything. But I have this C12 mic that a friend of mine made for me. And I love it. It sounds great.
Yeah.
But I often find it's like a little bright.
Oh, okay.
And so one day I was just like, I'll just put it through the mono gamma today just because why not? And you can, like I was saying, the circuits, you can adjust them.
Oh, okay.
And then I just found one and it's like just mellowed that like harshness out. And it was like, oh, that's so easy. Like that's what I mean by pieces that make your job easier.
Yeah.
Sometimes the shit makes it harder because you're like, well, what's routed where again?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Like the patch bay can be a mess, especially when it's 1/4 inch like mine.
Well, the big...
But yeah, anyway.
The big challenge, and it's interesting you talked about in-ear monitors, because the big challenge with people in like DIY spaces and smaller spaces is like, how do you dial in the EQ? You have to record for a bit and then listen back. And without that control room, it's hard to know exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah, and I'm getting to the point in here now where I know the way. I know that what certain things do, and so when I'm listening, I'm like, okay, this needs a little bit of this.
Yeah.
But you want to be careful with it, Like I don't do a ton of EQing on the way in. But I mean, guitars and stuff, I just put them in the booth.
Right.
Although, like we were talking about getting that smear, if the amp's out here, we put a mic in the room. It does add
a mic would sound nice.
To it, But yeah, so that's
cool. Let me just check this here. Okay, cool.
But yeah, actually, I had a couple pieces at Long McQuaid getting fixed. And so they give you loaners whenever they do that. So I had a couple of 1176s here while I was working on a record, and I used them as like just drum bus compressors. And man, they sounded good. So that was the other reason why.
Okay.
I saw an 1178 up for sale recently. When I was in Winnipeg last weekend.
Oh,
there was one there.
That.
I was like, do I need this right now? It's
so
hard.
Eh?
It's hard because you end up spending all of the money that you made on gear.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes it's counterproductive because you have more stuff that you can use.
Yeah.
Or you don't know how to use it because you haven't used it enough.
Yeah.
Or you spend all your time looking for stuff instead of using it.
Well,
which is dangerous.
Totally. Well, I was just talking.
If you don't know how to do it, then what?
I was talking to Crispin about how I often am looking for things to help me record drums, when in reality, like it's maybe once a year that I'm recording drums, or like it's not every day. Every day it's one mic or two mics or two pre's. So like maybe all the money should go into two great channels, and then save the rest of the money to go to a studio with, 20 great pre's and 20 great mics. You know?
That's not a bad plan. It's interesting because of the way that I like to work in here. I do end up recording a full band a lot altogether.
That's great.
But then you're like you said, a lot of the overdubbing is one or two channels, and then you have all this invested in.
Yeah, but you know what? This is different. You almost don't want a 20 mic drum kit from a
But also the room's too small in here to do that.
Yeah.
Although I probably used that many when I was recording in Norway, but I guess there was only 24 tracks. So,
what do you think of the warm stuff? The LA2A is fairly new.
When it works, it sounds good. Yeah. But I have had so many problems with it. It's broken again now.
Really?
I've taken it in 3 times now. It compresses, but something in the output circuit dies.
Oh.
It's been pretty frustrating, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's fine.
But when it works, it sounds good.
Yeah. What about this thing?
Sorry?
What about this?
You're talking about the LA2A?
Yeah, well, sorry, you're saying this is you're having trouble with?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That one's cool.
I thought you were talking about the 1176.
No, the 1176 always works.
Yeah, so this you're having trouble with?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've had it for a year, and I've had it into the shop 3 times.
I've heard rumors, maybe we'll keep this off, I don't want to offend anyone, but I've heard rumors that whenever they release a new product that they have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And that, maybe 2 or 3 years later, because this is one of their older pieces.
Yeah.
But this is relatively...
It's new. It's like a year. I kind of bought it. I ordered it at Lime Arcade before it came out.
Oh, okay. So
it does sound good when it works.
Oh, it's too bad you're having trouble with it.
Yeah.
I can't get over the orange.
The which?
The orange.
Oh, you like that or you don't like it?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Put a piece of tape over.
I have, yeah.
Do it now.
Please do.
There goes our sponsor.
Then it'll...
Yeah, when it works, it sounds good.
That's awesome.
I recently got those Daking compressors. I guess I keep saying recently. It's probably been a year or 2. They sound awesome.
Where are those?
These green guys here.
Oh, okay.
The Daking FET. They're both the FET 2. I guess they have a FET 3, like another model up now.
Yeah.
Or maybe the FET 3 is actually the stereo one.
What do you use those for?
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
They're great. And when you link them together, they're a great stereo compressor.
Oh, cool.
Right now, I'm feeding this. The vocal is hitting this and into this.
Nice.
And I have that set up as a hardware insert, actually. Then it's coming back to the computer. I have a de-esser going in there and then an EQ. And I'm pretty sure that when I tracked the vocals, I tracked it through an LA2A. Yeah, I did. But that was an interesting setup with this record is they had 2 amazing vintage U47s at the studio.
Wow.
So I had that set up as the vocal mic.
Yeah.
But then I had a 57 set up next to it. And I had that fed to like a vibro champ.
Okay.
Like a Silverface Fender amp.
Yeah.
And running through like a Fender Spring Reverb tank.
Okay.
And probably 80% of the vocal sound is that.
Really?
With the U47.
Did you blend the 2 of them?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I track them on separate tracks, so I'm constantly changing the blend right now.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
But it just sounds awesome. I mean, and I make all my demos like that, running through a guitar amp, and I don't know, I just like the way it sounds.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to those Feist records, that's how they sound,
Right,
it's like that amp. I like it. I'm into it.
It is cool. Let's talk about these pedals here. I love this company. I've never tried them before, but...
Oh, Union, yeah.
Yeah, they
awesome.
make some great stuff. What is this here?
That's the Sub Buzz.
What's that? Like
bass distortion.
Oh.
Actually, John, when he was mixing our record, he used that a ton. And when we were playing in Vancouver last, they came out to the show, and during soundcheck, they let us try out all the pedals.
Oh, nice.
And they gave them to us for a bit of a deal, which was awesome.
What's this here, a boost?
That's a boost.
Okay.
That sounds awesome. I love it on my guitar. It sounds really great.
So this is like, you're saying it's like a fuzz for a bass?
So I
like
use
a Sans amp kind of thing?
Yeah, sort of. So it's actually, you can run it in parallel. So this is your clean sound.
Okay.
So you don't lose any bass response when you do it.
Oh,
But
great.
I was printing this as like a parallel thing back into the session.
Okay.
So I just
100%.
I already have the clean in there,
Okay.
so I just left the clean out.
Okay, cool.
And I just distorted it. And then I just run it back into the API and back in. I just run it out through this radio reamp box.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you set it up as a send.
That would,
Send out to it, print it back in.
really makes a difference, eh?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And that's sort of, again, you can do that with a decapitator, but this pedal just, I don't know, something really great about those pedals.
And so you got a deluxe memory man. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I have a memory boy.
Oh yeah.
I think it is.
Those
Things are alive. They're alive.
I love it.
There's somebody inside of it.
I've gone through 4 of them. Well, myself, I've had 4 come through the studio.
Are they fragile?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're fragile.
Yeah.
I packed one in my suitcase once and didn't have it on my board, and the button got pressed in and it never was the same ever.
Man.
So I actually traded it for this Union pedal.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of got into them before they got super, super expensive.
Yeah.
Like now I've seen them go for like $500 or $600, which is fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
I mean, even $300 felt like a lot.
the memory boy that I got when I got it, I think I paid $100 for it. It was used.
Yeah.
And I plugged it in, and it was like it was just so out of control. Like
Oh,
it was like cool sounds, but
Yeah.
like definitely I couldn't make it do.
Something broken on it, maybe. Or...
Well, I don't know. So I sent it to my friends, a couple of my buddies, and they're like, "No, that's the way it's supposed to sound."
Oh, really?
And so it was just. But I think what ended up happening was I was daisy chaining the power from a couple of other sharing with
getting
pedals,
enough.
and it wasn't getting enough.
Yeah,
so
'cause
when I
this
gave
will
it
work-
its very own, it performed a lot differently.
Yeah, because this will run if it doesn't have enough power, but it doesn't sound nearly as good.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, I had
eh?
that hooked up to the wrong spot on one of those, like I just have a pedal train power or whatever, pedal
Yeah.
power thing. And I had it hooked up to the wrong one at one point, and I was like, man, I just can't get into this pedal anymore. I think I'm over it.
Yeah.
And then I realized I had done something wrong and switched it, and I was like, oh yeah.
Nice.
Like I pretty much never take that off when I'm playing guitar.
Really?
But I do set this up as a send too, and it sounds really great on like snare drum and things.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, that's cool. And the nice little Ibanez chorus there.
Yeah,
That's cool.
That's a cool machine. I was looking, because I love this pedal so much, I love the chorus on it. And
yeah.
I was like, maybe it'd be nice to have chorus without delay. And so I was shopping around for a long time. And the only one I could find that I really loved was $600. And so I was like, that's crazy. Then I found this, and I found it for $90, and it's great.
Oh, nice.
But I've since then bought that pedal that I was talking about that I love.
Oh, okay.
The chorus ensemble.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's a cool.
There's a lot of options for chorus, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of options for chorus here now.
Oh, that's
that one, and then there's chorus on that 501, which sounds great too. These are all, that one's not, but these 3 are all Bucket Brigade
okay.
chips.
Yeah. What's this? Is this custom?
That's a clone.
Oh, okay.
It's Archifacts out of Vancouver, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
I just bought
That's
it online.
cool.
Yeah, I like it. I used to have a Tube Screamer there, and sometimes I miss the Tube Screamer. But it's like I don't know, the Tube Screamer kind of sounded a little bit weak to me.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
sometimes I sort of miss
Listen.
that weak sound.
Yeah.
But I really like that pedal. That pedal's really cool if you just crank the like gain all the way up or the distortion.
Right.
And then I roll the tone off like on my Firebird.
Yeah.
And it just sort of like the sustains forever. It's awesome.
Oh, wow. I love guitar pedals. It's like such a fun game.
Yeah.
I gotta stop like looking online for them. Sometimes I'll just buy something because it's $30. And,
Oh yeah.
You know, like those old DoD pedals.
Oh, yeah.
The phasers and the flangers. And,
Yeah, I'm not as into pedals, but the guy that owns the local coffee shop that I go to all the time loves pedals.
yeah.
And so we're always talking about pedals, so I kind of get the update from him.
Yeah.
which is
What's
fun.
new? Yeah.
Yeah. He told me that he's bought and sold the Strymon Sunrise, I think it's called.
Oh,
Twice now.
A river
And he might buy it
okay.
again.
really?
I don't know. He's like, I just can't get into it, then I love it, then I gotta
The
sell it. and I buy
Strymon
it.
stuff is so expensive.
Yeah, it's great though. It is really
Yeah,
cool.
it is. And I've seen a lot of people using the Blue Sky and the Big Sky for mixing.
Yeah, I
A lot
use
of
it
people-
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kinda
Simon,
cool.
who I play with, has the Blue Sky, and then Edwin, who's a violinist in our band, he has the Big Sky. And so
Okay.
I have used the Big Sky a few times
Yeah,
for mixing.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I just got a Moog Sub 37, and I feel like I could use like a nice stereo reverb or something with
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, yeah.
I can't get a Big Sky I couldn't justify that. Yeah.
They're crazy expensive.
Well, I think the smaller ones are $350, $399 or something.
Yeah, I don't even know what the Big Sky cost. He bought it when we were in the States too, and I was like, wow. It did sound awesome. It sounds great.
It's great. There's a, I've been seeing, when we talked about with Ian today, he's got that Orban stereo spring.
Cool. Yeah.
And like that's like a relatively cheap, they're more expensive now.
Yeah.
It's like under $1,000 for a stereo Sen. And there's actually a company in the States called Recovery Effects. And they make guitar pedals, and they're selling like a $400 or $500 stereo spring reverb, and it's
what does Orban go for? Like $600 or something?
Well, not anymore.
I should have bought one when I had
the
chance. Every time I've used it over at Ian's place, I really liked it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
He said he's recommended it to 5 people.
Yeah,
like
they probably all went
and bought one.
Yeah, I've seen them around.
What's this over here then?
That I bought at a guitar shop in Vancouver. And it's just like a guitar spring reverb. It sounds okay.
Mono?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds okay.
It's not great. I don't know. It's like I think I paid $100 for it. I just like weird things, but I don't really use it a ton, to be honest.
What's your favorite? You say you travel a lot and you check like Craigslist and different locations and thrift shops. And what's your best find on the road? Any like sweet score at all?
I bought a Watkins Copycat Tape Echo.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was an amazing find, and it is because they're pretty rare.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least that vintage of them are pretty rare. And but the guy was like, I don't have any tape on it, so I can't really show you that it works.
Right.
And of course, the thing's totally fine. So I'm into it probably for like, I bought it for like $300, and I think I'm in another 600 now.
Oh no.
But they go for about 1,000, so I'm like pretty much at that point where
break even. Yeah.
But it's cool. I don't even have it back yet from the show.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was a good find.
Yeah.
But it wasn't such a good find after all.
It's so hard. You know, in a lot of thrift shops are just like, they see something and they jack up the price.
Yeah.
Even though it's maybe not worth. Yeah. My best moment turned out to be extremely disappointing, but I was in a thrift shop in Hamilton. And I always check out the electronics section just in case anyone's thrown out a LA2A or something, you know. But
you didn't find one?
No. But this guy, I went over the shelf and I saw this bright red, looked like a 19-inch unit. It was bright red with like 4 black knobs, like a Fender amp, you know, kind of like the Devil Lock.
Oh yeah.
Not 4 knobs on it, and I started walking towards it and my heart was racing. And I was like, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for. I've never seen this piece of gear. Finally got the, and I could see out of the corner of my eye, I said $15. I was like, I don't even know what this is doing, but I'm going to buy it. And as I got closer and closer, I realized it was a Coleman camping stove.
Did you buy it or not?
No, I did not. I just cried all the way home. But that was, I thought I had found some
it's hard to find anything for cheap. I mean, because of the internet, you know, it's like
that's true.
But because of the internet, you can also find anything.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
That helps too.
Yeah. I mean, reverb is what it is. You can find anything you want.
Yep.
You know, but it also seems to like dictate the prices, and it's always high.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, even if someone's just trying to liquidate something, if they go online and see, well, it's sold here for $400, then
or they listed it there for that much. Even, you know, who knows even
exactly. I'm curious, how did you get into like recording?
Well, I've been playing music. I don't know. I guess since I was like in grade 7, however old you are then.
Yeah.
And I think I just wanted to record myself at first.
Yeah.
So I got a 4-track.
Okay.
Set it up in my parents' basement, and then I just started recording my own high school bands.
Yeah.
And then all the other people's bands.
Yeah.
And sort of that, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to keep doing that, but I didn't really want to go to music school, but I wanted to go to university.
Right.
So I came to Toronto to go to Ryerson.
Okay.
For the radio and television arts program.
Oh, cool.
Because there's sort of a recording stream.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of musicians that I know in the city went through that.
Really?
Which was pretty fun.
So did you learn like practical, technical stuff?
No. I mean, like practical in what sense?
Well, like, could you work on a console?
Oh, yeah, totally. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do work on consoles all the time.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you meant like how to fix them and stuff. Like
no.
That kind of stuff. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was consoles in all the rooms.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah. But like anything, you sort of learn what you want to learn when you're there. You know?
Yeah.
So it was great. They really let me use the studios as much as I wanted to.
Oh, nice.
Which was awesome. And I ended up working there for 5 years after that. And during that time, we put in an SSL board, which was great.
Okay.
I got to be part of like the buying and setting up process, so that was fun.
All that experience with SSL, that's great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
that's cool.
It was a cool space.
When did you open this room here?
I bought the place 6 years ago.
Okay.
But it took a while to do all the work, and I was touring a lot at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not that great at construction, so I had to have a lot of help.
Yeah.
But it's been a work in progress. I mean, like, I think every time I have a new project to work on, I have to rush to get something done. So like the first time I was like ever tracking anything here, the vocal booth wasn't done, and I had a guy flying down from Sault Ste. Marie for the weekend to track vocals on the record that we've been working on.
Right.
So I was like in here the midnight the night before finishing the baffling. Like at that point I didn't even have like a trunk box, so I just like had to run the cables through the door.
Wow.
But it's come a long way since then, you know. Yeah.
My attic is kind of the same way. It's just like stuff on the floor, like stuff set up around me for me to be able to work. Is that your workflow? You just want to grab a pedal, grab what you need?
Well, this stuff's only set up on the floor because that's my pedal board. And this Echoplex, I guess I could put it up, but you can't really put it in the rack. But everything else is all on the patch bay, which is actually really beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be as organized as I can. It's not that organized.
It just seems like a great workflow.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fun. It is fun. And got whatever you need, patch it in easily.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I think that's an important thing. I think every studio is kind of like that. You need to be able to get it going quickly.
Well, yeah. I think that I don't know what their mindset is, but I think some people, they want something that looks really professional and really there to service their needs, and then other people want a space to be creative.
Yeah. And
somewhere that inspires them.
Yeah, I don't like being in studios where I feel like I can't like set something down, you know,
without a coaster.
Yeah, you know. I mean, but most studios have a lot of vibe and good feelings to them, you know, and because they know that they're creative spaces, and that's their whole purpose. You know?
Yeah, totally.
So it's great. Like they've done a great job over at Union. Feel good.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about, but it has it's a good hybrid because it has a cool commercial feel to it. Yeah. And it definitely looks legitimate, but it also is just pretty relaxed.
Yeah, totally.
The wood and
everything.
everything.
Job of walking that line.
Yeah. It's really cool. Awesome. Well, we're going to take a look at some of the pieces. Before we wrap up. Cool. Okay. Is that cool? You've got some great stuff here. We talked about some of this. Jay's going to get B-roll. We talked about some of this when we came in here. What's this guy over here on top of the Yamaha?
That is a string machine, the Logan string ensemble. I think
maybe
they
seen
Honer also, or what's it called? The String Melody. Sorry. Logan is an Italian company, and Honer licensed the technology from them, or branded them and distributed them as well.
Okay.
But it's cool. It's sort of, when you plug it in, it kind of sounds like a horror movie instantly.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it's cool.
And you go DI out of it into a preamp?
Yeah, you can, or an amp. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I usually go through an amp. I'm really after the Salinas string ensemble.
Okay.
And this doesn't really sound anything like it, but it definitely sounds very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's cool. Some of those, any modern MIDI that you have, or any huge poly synths, they have millions of presets, and I find that to be so overwhelming. It's such a problem.
Yeah,
it's kind of sit down with that, and if you can't figure it out in a couple of tweaks, then just use what you got, or leave it.
Yeah, I'd like to get more into the synthesizer world, but I haven't really so much. The only synth I have here is that little Casio. I have a Korg DW8000 in there. That it actually is awesome.
Oh yeah,
they sound really cool. But to adjust any parameters, there's just a numeric screen this big, and you have to go through each look at the little guide sheet, and then just with buttons to adjust things. But the presets are cool.
That's good. Cool. Yeah. Well, so much of that sound is coming back now, and it's and I really like it.
I like it too. It's awesome.
It's funny because if it's I don't know how old you are, but our generation who grew up on 80s music and early 90s music, if we're making music now, I feel like that's where some of that sound is coming back.
Yeah.
It's I remember Wilson Phillips. I remember Phil Collins. I remember that sound that we hear on the radio, Rod Stewart, So I'm not offended by it.
No, I'm into it.
It's cool.
I definitely came of age during the early 90s, and so I've been more into that. That's why I have so many guitars.
Right. Yeah.
But I've been lately getting into Phil Collins, and I love it.
Oh man.
And I can see the appeal, and also they're so flexible. the synthesizers.
Yeah.
I'm just scared to get into like the modular synth world because that's the last thing I need is like another fucking rabbit hole to go
Yeah,
down.
I definitely wouldn't do that. I mean, that'll be a long time before I do something like that.
I've heard people play them and they just sound amazing. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
You're right though. I think it's like guitar pedals. I don't need another thing that's like $300 for each little component.
Each little component. Yeah, that problem with those are like, it's only $300, but then you have like.
And now I need to get this, and I need to get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Are fun.
Well, we're going to get some shots around this place. Thank you so much for having us.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming.
I really love, I love this place. I think it's so cool. And I'm excited for, hopefully we can post some links of some of the work that you've done.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Definitely your band.
Yeah.
What's next for you guys? Are you done promoting that record?
Well, no. It's been out for about 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And so we're trying to decide exactly what to do next.
Okay.
We've done a lot of touring already on it. We toured Europe twice already. We've done Canada and the US. We were supposed to go back to Europe in November, but I have a lot of work to do here and just didn't feel like the right time. I just got married, like I said.
Right.
So,
yeah. Congratulations.
just making more music right now.
That's great.
Yeah, which is awesome.
That's awesome. You were working with a guy I know, Jesse, recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
This week, actually.
Yeah. That's cool. Mastering. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It sounds awesome.
Does it sound good? I haven't heard.
Yeah, it's really great.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I have a couple more tweaks to do on it.
Yeah. He sent me some demos when he was first working on that record, and
he did a great
job.
Sounds
cool.
Yeah, it's a cool record. I like it.
That's great. So you do a lot of mixing and mastering.
Yeah, I do mastering out of Lacquer Channel as well.
Oh, okay.
Which is a great
cool.
studio.
Yeah, I know his place.
You guys been there before?
No, I haven't. But I was just reading something about his today, and I was thinking we should go out and visit him.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Phil, they're both awesome.
Yeah.
Great guys.
Was Ben Summer was there for a bit? Was he interning there or something? Or
I think
I remember
he does
Ben
some mastering up there sometimes.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like Noah he doesn't rent his room out exactly, but he just has people working out of his room.
Right.
And it's a great room, and he really cares about it. He's awesome. And Phil, do you know Phil Dimitro that's up there?
No.
He's in the other room.
Sounds familiar.
I like to send him a lot of my mixing work to master. I really like working with him.
That's cool.
He's a really cool guy. And
it's good to have a mastering engineer. Who gets you.
Yeah, and I don't like to master stuff that I have mixed.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it totally defeats the purpose. It's like just having someone else that can have a new perspective on it is the biggest
thing for
me.
Are you open to people sending you stuff for mixing? Like, are you?
I love
You're looking into that stuff?
Yeah, I do all the time.
I think that, I mean, from my standpoint, maybe not so much with mastering, but because it's a little bit more of a technical thing, but for mixing, it's like, people who love your band, people who love your aesthetic and your sound kind of want your vibe and your stamp on things.
Yeah,
I could totally see that.
Yeah. I like doing stuff like that. I also like doing stuff that's totally out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Although I don't get a ton of that stuff. Most of it's kind of in the same vein.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun to get challenged that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool when I went, we mixed this record in New Jersey, and then we went to New York to master it, because the guy that masters most of John's work is Greg Calby, if you know that name.
Oh, no, I don't.
He's he's been around for a long time.
Okay.
Like, he's got a handwritten note from John Lennon on the wall.
Oh, man.
Like about his mastering.
Yeah.
But that was a cool experience. Like I got to sit
That's your latest record?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. They mastered right off a half-inch.
Oh, wow.
Which was awesome.
That's cool. So you mixed your mix engine to half-inch?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, actually I was really inspired by a lot of the work that John did. And just the way he listened to things. Because we mixed the whole record on one of those big 80s series Neves with the GML flying faders. And just watching him automate it and work, I was like, man, I can't work with the mouse anymore. So as soon as I got home, I just went out and bought a couple of these control surfaces.
Oh, no way.
Which they make such a difference.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, what are you doing? You're sending out...
It's just MIDI. So there's 16 tracks of faders, so I'm just mixing.
Wow.
But you can go through the banks. So I have this So this is the first 8 banks.
Oh, that's it. It's not like you have to sum stuff to it.
No.
This is just the first 8, next 8.
Yeah. Well, I guess 16. So.
Okay, of Pro Tools session.
To see this, but on the camera. But yeah, exactly. So it's just the first 16 channels.
Oh, wow. And you like that?
I love it.
Really?
It's so much more musical.
I've heard that.
They're only like 300. But I mean,
I've heard people say
the biggest thing is like, I'm not using a mouse. I'm like listening and moving faders, and it's changing the sound.
Yeah.
But you can also change more than one thing at a time. Because so much of mixing is actually about the relationship between sounds.
Yeah.
Not just like, you don't mix things in isolation. You don't mix the kick drum and like just leave it.
Right.
It's like you might solo it, get it somewhere where you think it sounds good, then you put it into the mix and it's like, oh, it's something totally different. You know?
Right.
It's the same thing with levels. It's not like just bringing one thing up. You might want to bring something down.
So do you write, like automate with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll play the track and you'll move stuff around and it'll record what you're doing.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was a big part of watching John work, actually, that I loved. Was like, he'll just keep listening to this section and writing the automation until he gets it right.
Oh,
and that was the coolest thing about the record when I got it back, like really listening to it, was that I could always, he really had a intuition for like zoning in on, or talent for zoning in on what was important.
Right.
You know, the guitar part had this one little part, that's important, let's hear it.
Yeah.
And then let's duck it, you know?
Oh, wow.
So you never felt like, oh, the guitar's too loud, or the guitar's not loud enough because it was loud when it needed to be loud.
Oh, man.
So I've been trying to listen and do that more.
That's really cool. And you know what I like about this too is like if you labeled things, you could shut the monitor off too.
Well, actually, it is labeled here.
Oh, cool.
So you could shut the monitor off.
And that's coming
track.
from there?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Which is crucial, because if you don't have that and you're flipping banks or you're moving tracks around as you're getting reorganized, they get lost.
That's cool. I got to try this.
Yeah.
What are some of these options here? Just mute and solo?
Yeah, mute, solo, select, or just like
these are pans?
Select. Yep.
And what if a track is stereo? Same thing?
Yep.
It's just, okay.
Well, which tracks are stereo? This track's stereo, so it's just the mixed track. So how I was telling you, like basically everything's coming back here through the summing.
Right.
And then it goes through the complex and then comes back in on the channel here, and then I have a couple plugins on the channel as well. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, it works great. I'm like, I haven't actually got to the automation stage yet in this, but once you do that, it's pretty fun because you can just like, the faders just move too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's super handy.
There must be a setting in Pro Tools, because if you automate, volume automate something, if you volume automate something, then you can no longer use the fader, right? So there must be a way that
yeah, but you can also
that.
have something called latch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then you can sort of rewrite as you go, right?
That's probably what.
But I mean, you can't. Like I can move the fader and it'll move back.
Shut back, yeah.
Unless I go into the latch or right or whatever it's called.
Okay.
Each DAW has a different name for it, but
Yeah.
it's the same function. But I just end up writing certain section by section.
Right. Well, it's kind of cool because I send, like, the way I've set up a mix in Pro Tools is I'll send all the guitars to one guitar bus, one drum bus, one percussion bus, one background vocals. So it'd be kind of fun just to, even those 5 stems, just to kind of play with those.
Yeah, it makes a big, honestly, it makes a huge difference.
That's really cool.
And like the first record I did where I had these was a classical record, and there was only 16 channels, so I was never flipping buses. I was just like, everything was there.
Yeah.
It was super easy. And if you have things on inserts, like hardware inserts, then the fader is just a fader, which is great.
Yeah.
The difference is, like on the kick drum I was saying, I'm sending it to the compressor. So the output of the channel affects the amount of compression. So I have to be careful.
Okay.
Which is also why I have it summing on its own channel here, so I can just mix it here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm getting a little nerdy, but
No, that's really interesting. I mean, I've heard a couple of people talking about that, and guys I know are kind of looking at the different stuff that Avid makes.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, if it's just MIDI.
Yeah, these are just MIDI. I'm sure the new ones are probably
touching the sound at all.
Yeah, no, it doesn't touch the sound at all. Just control. They're just control surfaces. They're like a giant mouse.
Take up a lot of space.
Yeah, I'm looking at building a new desk to sort of sit them in.
That's really cool. I feel like I want to just like rent them for a month.
You should.
And just try it out.
I think you would find a big difference.
Yeah.
I won't go back mixing with the mouse. I started out with this thing, which is just like one fader.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to write automation with one fader, and that was fine. But now I just use it as transport, which is actually pretty handy. You know, just having play stuff and
cool.
flipping banks. Now you can get these. You can get these with that section too, but they're like twice as much, and I already had that. So
okay. Oh, this is a different company, PreSonus. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But again, it's like no audio touches this thing, so it's like not.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
This was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jake.